Hey everybody, it's O'Keefe, and welcome to a very special episode of that O'Keefe Show. I'm on with a really good friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, Craig Ballantyne. Craig is, God, we go back so far, and I will go into that a little bit, but like Craig is known probably most for his Perfect Day Formula book. Did I say the name right of the book, Craig?
Perfect Day Formula is the first one, yep. And then
Yeah,
Perfect
that's
Week.
awesome.
Yeah, Perfect
Yeah.
Week came after.
And that is still, those are both still phenomenal books, totally relevant to right now. And what I'm really excited about is Darkside Discipline is Craig has always been known as like the most disciplined guy you ever meet. Going to bed at 8 p.m., up at 3:45, get his workout in. And what I love about this book is it spoke to me a lot now, coming up on 50, 7 kids, trying to manage his next phase of life. It's evolving and different. So I can't wait to hear about what your philosophies have shifted or changed now that you're a dad and a husband. And yeah, man. Anyhow, this book's amazing. I have a ton of questions for you. But first of all, just welcome to the show. Thanks for thinking of me when you were looking to launch this bad boy, because everybody needs it. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And it's been a long time since we chatted, so I'm excited for the conversation.
Yeah, we slept in my house, spent a couple of days here, trying to
Yeah.
give us younger guys trying to figure out life. And
That's right, man. Now I'm halfway to catching up to your 7 kids. I got 3, but I don't think we'll get I don't think we won't get to 5, that's for sure.
I love it, bro. I love it. Your wife's good.
She's great. She's great. Yeah, we're doing the best we can.
Yeah,
Better every day.
Let's talk about, I think this is good time and discipline, especially with, I was just listening to a podcast of a billionaire, maybe a billionaire, talking about how social media nowadays, there's never been more distractions than ever. But then I think I'll set up it from my perspective, Craig, and you take it away. But it's like, there's a big bro discipline thing. Like you get up at 4 a.m., you kill yourself, you're always grinding, you're always doing it. And there's a lot of identity and I think value that comes from that. But there's also a lot of failure with that because it's just not easy to do. It's not conducive to every personality. And what I love about what you summarize in kind of the plans you lay out in this book is you address that because you went through that personally. And then how do we create like effortless discipline systems so that we actually are set up for success? So with that, I've been talking too much. Why don't you just dive in and give us the backstory and how this all came about?
Yeah, so there's a great phrase that you can't write the book till you live the book. And I have lived the book on both sides. I've had no discipline and I've been a binge drinker, watched TV all the time, did everything that everybody wants to get rid of. And then I swung the pendulum really hard the other way and probably too hard, in which I used discipline as really a perverse form of procrastination. I was like, I got to be in bed by 8 o'clock. I got to get up at 3:57 a.m. tomorrow. I can't go out with you guys. I can't do this social event. I have to, for a while, I was like, I have to be the first person in the office and the last person out every single day. And that was when we had the office in Denver. And we had people coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning to beat traffic and some people leaving at 6:30 at night to beat traffic. And if I'm going to do that, then I'm screwed. I got no social life. And so I was using this. I really used it as an excuse to avoid rejection and finding my wife. That was the most important thing to me. And I let the good get in the way of the great. And that is one of the real underlying messages of the book. Discipline is good. It can be your savior, but at some point there is a very fine line. And when you cross it, to use another cliche, it becomes a double-edged sword where it can destroy you. And I've seen people's pursuits of discipline because of what they've seen on social media actually destroy families. And even when I wasn't married, Ed, I looked up to you. You got a big family, you got a great family, amazing wife. I've always wanted to be a family man. It just took me a lot longer than most people to get there. And so everything I ever did should have been anchored in the pursuit of family, but I let discipline get in the way of it. And when I see discipline destroying families, when this happened to a few of my friends, that's when I was like, I have to write this book because it cannot be this way. It cannot be this way. And I thought I'm going to get pushback from a lot of people on this. And I've done a bunch of shows and I've done a bunch of shows, even with special forces guys. And I thought they were going to push really hard back, but they've actually been the most understanding audience, and because they're like, yeah, man, I went way too far. I wish I had this book 5 years ago, man. I just about destroyed my marriage. And I was like, oh, dang. But to hear that from a guy who had to be disciplined to save his life and to do what he did for your country and essentially for my country too, up here in Canada, when you guys protect yourselves, you protect us. And it's been interesting, the response.
It's really, it's working really well right now in our society. We'll keep past that one. That's pretty funny. In fact, I gotta just say, like, this USA college shirt was my volleyball coach award in the national or in the Olympics, and he gave me a copy. But I totally didn't even put it together. I put it on. I'm like, oh my god, it's so funny. It's from Canada. I was like, oh.
You know, the funny thing is that I talk about in the book about bad habits and everything. And my last bad habit that I had to give up was the news, because I grew up on a farm in the 80s. We had 3 TV stations. I had nothing to do, so I read the newspaper every single day. I got addicted to the news when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Reading the sports from cover to cover. And I was reading, I wouldn't actually read newspapers, but I used Twitter last summer, in the summer of 2024. And I got to the point where I was like, I can't do that. It's making me angry. So I have to stop it. So I stopped cold turkey in the summer of 2024. And I use the Effortless Discipline systems to do it. And now whenever anybody talks to me about what's going on in the world, I have no idea what actually is going on. And I don't know. I see some stuff on Instagram, but some of this stuff is memes. So I'm not even sure if what I'm seeing is real or not.
Yeah.
So I do know mostly from family who are upset. Nothing's actually impacted them, but they're upset about something that somebody said. And it's all just distraction and garbage and entertainment. And what bothers me is not what's being said. It's that people are giving their energy and attention to what is being said when it doesn't, in most cases, impact them. And it breaks my heart, because that is robbing them
Time.
of family time, of writing their books, of creating their programs, of building a side hustle, whatever it is. Like, you're arguing with a friend and you should be at the gym losing 20 pounds. So just shut up and go to the gym.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is you mentioned something really important, and I think applies to all of us at different phases of our life, which is the thing that served us at a certain component of time doesn't necessarily serve us still. And so you talk about, that's why we train for events, and then if my identity is wrapped up in that thing, and this is very, like, if you listen to Sean Ryan's show, who I love listening to, a lot of special forces guys, their identity was in that thing. And so that thing was designed specifically to prepare them for going to the darkest places and dealing with the most dangerous people and killing them and terminating them. That was the role and the skill set and whatever. And all of those things worked really well. And I think what you said very well, and I want to actually press on this a little bit more, is if we stay attached to that, we end up destroying ourselves in our next context, like in the next phase, because what served us then doesn't necessarily serve us now. And when people go through a lot of trauma, by the way, just for everybody who's watching, because whenever I've seen private clients, and I don't do this, but it's more for high performance, and they suffer a lot of anxiety, I always reframe it like, you learn a behavior that served you at a certain point for something specific. Your brain just didn't realize it doesn't need to do that anymore. And so we just need to teach it a new behavior. But that's true in all our lives, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about, I want to go back to the level, because you also said something super powerful, which is like, you were avoiding rejection and finding your soulmate. And really what you were doing is putting level 10 effort on really a level 2 problem, which is your fitness, because your fitness was already at a top level. And so I'm going to cover this. I think that struck me. I was like, oh my God, he's punching me in the face with this phrase. Because I started realizing, like, I spend so much time doing level 2 stuff with necessarily my kids or different stuff, which I spend so much time with kids. But there's times where I'm like, probably not solving the real problem that's going on. So first of all, friends, rejection, friends destroying themselves. Specifically, if they're watching this, they're probably trying to improve their life, get better. They're a high achiever, or they're trying to do that. So let's cover that topic first. And that's where a lot of confusion in our world is right now. And you're the
right. So people, we think that to fix our lives in some way, we have to go and suffer and do these hard things. And it's not actually true, because the transfer of, whether it's cold plunging or working out twice a day or even reading a book a week, as some of these many challenges are. This 100 push-ups in 100 days is one of the most ridiculous ones to me, because it's actually a great recipe for ruining your shoulders. And so if you go and do this thing, like at 9 o'clock at night, your wife wants to sit down and watch a movie, and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't done my 100 push-ups in 100 days. And you're
Yeah.
like, honey, I got to go do this. And your marriage is just like in this, you've been married for 15 years and you're really just Uber drivers living in the same house, and there's not that much spark there. And you go and do that to her at that time because you're just like a pit bull with your teeth sunk into this 100 push-ups in 100 days. That's a huge mistake of letting something that's good get in the way of something that's the most important thing in your life. That is a great example of putting a level 10 effort into a level 2 problem. You doing 100 push-ups in 100 days is not needed at all. You could die without doing 100 push-ups in 100 days and you can live a fulfilling life. But you can't die with losing your marriage and live a fulfilling life, like a marriage that should be saved. And what I was doing for years was I was putting a level 10 effort into level 1 problem, which was this rigid routine, which was exercising 1,000 days in a row. And I was doing that because I was too scared to put a level 10 effort in my level 10 problem, which was I was not married. I hadn't found a great woman yet, and I needed to. And I knew what I was doing, but a lot of people don't realize that they're using exercise or challenges or something like that as a perverse form of procrastination, or really just entertainment, right? It's entertainment to do this stuff, keeps you busy, and it allows you to avoid the hard conversations with your wife or the hard conversations with your business partner or a team member or a coworker that really needs to be had. And I don't have time to prepare for that because I'm doing this other thing. So that's what we mean by it. And then we say in the book, the ultimate definition of discipline is identifying your level 10 problem in life, which could be a marriage, could be your $30,000 in credit card debt, could be that you're unemployed, could be that your business is sinking, could be something like that. And that's your level 10 problem. And until you put a level 10 effort into that level 10 problem, you're not disciplined. It doesn't matter if you cold plunge. It doesn't matter if, like, my wife and I actually did a date day yesterday to this. They have a lot of these cold plunge sauna places here in Vancouver. A lot of people are really into that. So we did it as a date day. We don't do it regularly. And I sat in the coldest one and blah, blah, blah. But it was for fun. It was for fun. It was for entertainment. And it was a date. People that go out of their way to do it every single day, that's fine as long as it's not getting in the way of something that's more important. And so the ultimate definition of discipline is putting a level 10 effort into your level 10 problem. Everything else is entertainment. And we just need to make sure that we're doing that. Now, most people, that's the first time they ever heard that concept, and they need to step back, figure out what the level 10 problem is, and also stop being very reactive to all the stuff that they see when they open up their phone and they open up their explore page and see what the latest hard task is that they're supposed to do.
So you coach a lot of business owners, right? Like a lot, just so everyone knows, if you want to work with Craig runs, I haven't looked at your schedule lately, but I know like I'm on your list and I get your direct mail, which I think is another effortless discipline system of yours. Pretty amazing. So you see, do you mind, so you do events, you people one-on-one, and you get private coaching. So do you mind just walking through, just selfishly, I'm going to ask some questions on this, right? What are you seeing as the most common patterns of high achieving business owners and entrepreneurs that they don't really realize is destroying such time, filling up gaps, level 2, level 5 problems, but they feel good running through the tests. Yeah, they're ignoring the big one. So I'll shut up and listen. This is great. I'm getting free consulting right now, folks.
There's three things here. First, when you have a level 10 problem, like turning that ship around, a 15-year-old marriage that's gone cold, you're not going to see overnight results. It doesn't matter if you read the 5 love languages, which I think is great. And I recommend everybody that's in a marriage problem, so you read that. But you're not going to see overnight results from, oh, now I listened to one of the love languages, marriage back on track. No, it takes a long time to turn that around. It takes a long time to turn a struggling business around. And because of that, you put a level 10 effort into a level 10 problem and you don't see any results for 30, 60, 90 days until to like actually see significant results. That's hard on somebody. So what we do is when our business is struggling, we think, I'll go start a YouTube channel, because like you don't need a YouTube channel, but when you start a YouTube channel, you put your first video, put your first video up and you got the dopamine hits. And so that's one of the things. It's like every human takes a path of least resistance. And so that's the first thing that we see in entrepreneurs. The second thing is that, guys like you and I and women who are entrepreneurs, we're ambitious. We want to do it all. We want to have it all and more. And so we want to take on this challenge. We want to start this new business. We want to mentor more people. We want to write a book. We want to have the YouTube channel, the podcast, all these things. We have this ambition, this outsized ambition. And I call us wild horses, right? We're the type of people that, the old saying is you could take a horse to water and you can't make it drink. Wild horses drink all the water, snort all the oats, and run off looking for another project to do. But we exhaust ourselves because of that. And if you're not narrowly focused, and if you put that level of energy into a narrow focus and the right narrow focus, you choose the right path, then you're going to have massive results. And that's what we need to do. Because the third thing that ambitious people, whether they're entrepreneurs or not, and actually everybody has this problem, is that we say yes too often and we don't say no often enough. So when someone comes, and if you're an entrepreneur, now everybody thinks you have money. Everybody thinks you're really smart. Everybody's bringing you their problems. Plus you have lots of team members who are bringing you their problems. Other business owners bring you their problems. Nobody wants to hear your problems, but everybody wants you to solve their problems and give money and go to these events. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to say no. Our coaching clients, one of the biggest Achilles heels that they have is that they take every networking call. Hey, they meet somebody on LinkedIn and it's like, hey, we should connect for a 10-minute call. And sometimes they're just trying to get pitched. Someone's trying to pitch them. And other times it's just like somebody just like really thinks that's a great way to grow a network. And if you do 2 of those a day, that's like burning 2 hours of your time, because you have to shut down what you're doing, do the 10-minute call that takes 20 minutes, and then you got to get back to your work. And you lose 10 hours a week if you do that kind of junk. But maybe they've got a bit of scarcity mindset. Oh, I don't want to miss out on this, or FOMO, fear of missing out. And so they say yes too often, and they don't say no because they don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. So they hurt themselves. And those
like, what are you avoiding that is super important, but it needs to get opened up, is a bit like, I just wrote that down. And then what are you doing that you could just stop doing so that you could pour yourself into these other things? Which I know you talk about identity and value. We talk about using certain questions. I have a couple specific questions about yourself, because I noticed, was it like 5 or 9 years when you launched your first book, you went on 100 podcasts in 300 days or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think the last time we chatted a couple of years ago via email, or even a year ago, which that's crazy tough. You have a much more focused intent now, right? You're like, okay, I'm not doing hundreds, I'm going to do a certain number. And then I'm also on your mailing list. So you've obviously identified, or you're taking like the old school Chet Holmes approach of, here's my dream 1,000, and I'm going to nurture them for the rest of my life. So I dig my front thirsty. Because if everybody watching this just says, okay, let's ask a question. Who's your 300 most important associates and people and relationships in your life? Let's just nurture them before you go get 30,000 that don't even care about you. And then, so do you mind sharing a little bit about like how you focused and lasered in? And I know this can lead into the 80-20 rule, because I know it's in your book as well. Just take it however you want to go with it, Craig, and how you teach guys.
Yeah. So we take a look at the business. Like the 80-20 rule says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. And I've done in the past, when I swung the discipline pendulum too far, I did say yes to a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And you sometimes have to go too far in order to understand what's not necessary. As long as you quickly come back to the right path, it's okay. And so I realized, okay, I've got to have parameters for doing shows and stuff like that. And some parameters are that, there's a certain number of listeners, or somebody I haven't talked to in a long time that I need to talk to, somebody that knows somebody else that's going to be a great jumping off point or introduction point. But then I just keep a list of all the people that I'm always constantly connecting with. I try and connect with 20 people a day virtually, just by email or text or Instagram message. I don't have to jump on the phone. And I can do this when I finish my workout, I usually send a bunch of messages before I get back home. And it's just real quick and staying in touch with people. And then over the years, I've bought people's books, I comment on their stuff, and I've just built up that rapport and that goodwill, so that now it's been 6 years since my last book, The Perfect Week Formula. And I've been built up a lot of connections since then. And so now when I didn't write another book because I was really busy with the coaching, but also I didn't know what else to say until this discipline thing became so
Okay.
obvious to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I started writing that book on January 1st of 2024, got sidetracked from it in the summertime because I kind of ran into a block where I needed my co-author. Actually, I was doing it myself. And then I realized he's got some great information on the standards and identity at the end of the book that really sealed the deal, icing on the cake sort of thing. And so that became obvious. And then we didn't finally finish the book. It was actually just February 28th. I think I said it's good and it's already up on Amazon. I worked with this guy, Kerry Oberbrunner, and his
Yeah.
company. He works with Dan Sullivan, Ben Harney, John C. Maxwell. This guy blew me away with what he knows about Amazon. And he also is, man, your Amazon pages for Perfect Day Formula are so bad. I can't believe you got 1,000 reviews. It's like, and I was like, oh, thank you very much. And we did it right this time. But a connection to a guy like that.
It does look very good, by the way. That's where I got your picture. Just so everyone knows, let me just give you a quick plug. You can either go to the website, Darkside Discipline, I'll redirect you to Craig's Amazon listing, which looks amazing. You get instant access to it. Plus, just to see this good-looking guy in action. I was questioning whether I take the picture of you, like Rick. Folks can't see it at home, but you'll see it on. I'm not going to show up. I'm going to let him go to that thing. Or the one with you in the suit. And I'm like, I like him looking ripped. That's awesome.
I know.
Congrats on that. So take it through. Do you mind just take it through the Effortless discipline system, and then do you have a 3-part kind of process here that you take people through? So let's just bang through it. Let's go for it.
Like all the other stuff I try and teach people, it's as simple as possible. And so to have effortless discipline, let me just back up. So we have the ultimate definition of discipline is a level 10 effort into a level 10 problem, because most people think discipline is this willpower, white knuckling, suffering. I don't want to suffer. I want to be successful, but I don't want to suffer. You were the first person to call me like the world's most productive man. And then you maybe I don't know who it was that said world's most disciplined. It might've been you as well, but really it was just, I get a lot done. And to get a lot done, people think you have to be very disciplined, but I get a lot done because I have systems, because I'm not a hardcore guy. And so even though I guess I do things that might seem hardcore, like I get up really early and that sort of stuff, but it's just, I like it and I set up my systems to do it. So underneath discipline are systems. And James Clear, he talks about a lot in Atomic Habits that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. I think that's the exact quote. And it's true, because if you have goals, like you want to lose 20 pounds, but you don't set your workout clothes out, you don't do meal prep on the weekends, and you've never been successful at fitness and weight loss before, and you think just because you have a goal of 20 pounds, you're going to like grit your teeth and succeed, it's not going to happen. I ran fitness competitions, like weight loss competitions, for 15 years in my first business, Turbulence Training. And we always saw we had hundreds of people start, and probably like only 30% of them made it to week 3 because they just didn't have any systems in place. So the systems break down like this. You need elimination, you need preparation, and you need connection. That's it. That's it. So when I was a binge drinker, which I was for a long time, much longer than I should have been, which also delayed me getting married, was I needed to eliminate myself from the wrong environments. So stop going to bars, stop going to afternoon baseball games where everybody else is getting drunk. I just couldn't go to those things for a while until I had these systems and built a different identity. I had to eliminate alcohol from my house, which was easy. I wasn't really a weekday drinker. I was only like a binge drinker on the weekends. But if somebody does drink too much or eats too many potato chips, or if you use your phone too much, you have to eliminate access to this bad habit. So with your phone, you can set up something like we talk about the Opal app, OPAL. It's a really great app that you can set up to block yourself from having online access to text messages, phone calls, YouTube, email, everything. And just now your phone is not a distraction because you can't use it for a certain amount of time. So you have to eliminate the thing. And then finally, you have to eliminate the toxic people, the people that drag you down to drinking, which is when I was a binge drinker, I had to eliminate people that would drag me down to drinking. If you have other bad habits, you have to eliminate the access or connection with people who drag you down to the bad behavior. Now, if you have good people in your life who drag you down to bad behaviors, like I had when I was binge drinking, I just modified my connection with them. My best friend, Jeremy, I've been best friends since we were 6 years old. He liked to drink on Saturday evenings with all the other guys. Some of them were toxic people. I said, dude, I don't want to lose my friendship with you. So let's go hiking Saturday morning. Then you can go and meet up with all the drinkers, but I'm not going to do that part, but I want to stay friends with you. So the elimination puts all the friction in the way so that it makes the bad habit very hard to do. On the flip side, whatever your good habit is that you need to replace that. Because anytime you get rid of a bad habit, there's a void, right? There's a routine, there's expectations. You have to fill that void with a good habit. Otherwise, you're going to go back to the bad habit because you don't know what to do. And so you replace it with a good habit. Like I replaced drinking with good habits like hiking. So I needed to do better planning and preparation. I need to think about things to do. I needed to contact my friends to do them. I need to set the time. I need to make it as easy as possible. I had to do all the work, pick them up, message them the day before, say, hey, make sure you're ready when I come and pick you up, so that went smoothly, and it made the good habit as easy as possible to do. Like when someone starts exercising, you lay your exercise clothes out beside the bed so that the next morning, they're not put away and you have to go and find them because that's friction. And then you're like, oh, I don't have time to do that. No, they're right there beside the bed. If they're clean, sleep in them. Whatever it is, you make that path to success smoother, grease the groove. Then after you've eliminated the bad, prepared for the good, you need connection. And this is a missing link that a lot of people will miss. A lot of people will set goals. They'll make things hard to do. They'll do some of the work to make the preparation go smoother. But if you are the only person who knows about the habit change you're making, you're the easiest person to let down. But if you promise an accountability partner, whether it's a single individual who you deeply do not want to disappoint, or whether it's a group of individuals where you don't want to look like a hypocrite, either one of those two will make you move mountains. So like you will finally stick to what you want to do. And back to those transformation contests that we used to run, the people who stayed through the entire program were people who posted their before photos on day one. We had a message forum, like one of those old school ones. And I noticed after years of doing it, I was like trying to figure out the common patterns of like, why do people drop out? Like this person was single, they're 40 pounds overweight, they only have a 9-to-5 job, they have tons of time, they have all the information that we're teaching them, and they dropped out. Why? Because they didn't post their before photo on day one. They just said, I'm in the contest. And then they disappeared. But the people that posted their before photo, they burned the boats and they had that accountability. More people were following up and saying, how's it going? And that was a game changer for it.
Man, I'll tell you that you just laid out some really, so that last part is actually super important. Yesterday, I was thinking about a problem I'm facing in the business. And I was like, for some people, this is not a problem. And I was trying to think of who would look at this and be like, this is the easiest problem to solve. And I don't know the solution to that, but I'm asking the right questions. What you're bringing up too is really important, is that the connection part, the mentors, the tribe component removes the isolation. Because I always think especially with men and women, I can't speak for you, I'm not one, but as men going into their 40s and mid 50s, like up in that, I think the reason why suicide rates are so high is because men lose that tribe. We're so used to having the tribe younger. And then you're expected to always have the answer. You're this problem solver. And then you get into this like phase where I'm facing new stages of life that I've never done before. And in my case, like my dad's passed away. A lot of the people are passed away, or they're just don't think the way I do. And high achievers don't necessarily voice, man, I'm having this problem with my spouse, or I'm having this problem financially, or my business collapse. You know what I mean? And so you just gave a really good, even 1, 2, 3 of solving big, like these are really big problems that you can solve. And this is a great formula for small things. Should you have something you want to add there? I can tell.
The community aspect. I'm introverted by nature. I have introverted tendencies. And so I'm not in like a Garrett White community or some of these other big male communities, but
Correct.
I think those are so powerful for people that love getting to those communities. Like I have like over 1,000 friends. So I have a lot of people I can connect with. I got my little tribe here in the house. We spend all of our time together.
Yeah, right.
A lot of our family is my wife's family. We see them quite a bit. So I have lots of people around, but I totally understand if you don't. And we call this lonely entrepreneur island because we do a lot of live events in our business. and people come to it and they get so jazzed up, just like you and I went to events back
Yeah,
in the
well,
day.
just even like how we're talking now, bro. We haven't talked in a while. I haven't had a stimulating conversation with another guy like you, except my like 3 friends. And I talk to them all the time. So I'm like, it's not as stimulating. It's good to talk to someone else. That's great.
So you go to these events and like you come back all pumped up, but then you come back to what I call Lonely Entrepreneur Island, because most people, you don't actually have a lot of friends in person who are entrepreneurs. Some people do, but not a lot do. And so now you're talking to your brother-in-law who might be well-meaning, but they got a corporate job. Maybe it's a cushy corporate job. They're golfing all the time. And they look at you and go like, they think that you're rich because you're an entrepreneur. So you're Mr. Moneybags and like, oh, why do you keep working so hard? Or like, what are you doing this for? Like, why don't you go get a real job?
Yeah, you don't have those problems. You don't have those problems. You know, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah. And so as an entrepreneur, you have problems, but do your team members or employees, do they want to hear about your problems? No, they think you got all the money in the world. They don't care about the fact that you put all that money into inventory or whatever it is. They just think that you have no problems and they just want to dump on you. And then other entrepreneurs dump on you. And then your wife or spouse or kids, they don't want to hear about your problems. They don't generally understand. They got their own things. And once you get home, like home has its own problems of how to get, when you got 7 kids, I'm sure you got, I couldn't imagine the scheduling you guys have for all the events because you got high-level athletes.
Bro, yeah, the train never stops. Yeah.
Man. So where then does that busy man who has problems get to go, hello, anybody listening? And it's only when you find a tribe. And you can find a tribe at an event. Come to my events. You can find tribes online like Garrett White's, and there's so many now. Bedros has tribes, and Bedros has this thing called the Legacy Tribe, and so people get together on Zoom. But just don't remain on Lonely Entrepreneur Island because, man, that is a tough place to be. It'll drag you back down to mediocre. So whatever you learned at the event, and whatever potential you have, and whatever true success you could have, and it's obvious to the people that were there at the event. When you go back to your cave at home and you don't connect with anybody, you soon won't believe that, even if you truly believed it at the event, if you remain isolated. And isolation is a pretty dangerous thing. And you might not see this, Ed. I'm not sure what kind of stuff on social media, but I tell you, in 2024, I just kept on seeing this message that from these younger guys, like just go dark for 6 months. And I was like, I just want to find those kids and shake them and say, that is unless you want to raise like a nation of school shooters, that's good advice for a school shooter. That's horrible advice for a human. We are meant to be around other people. And even a person like me, who again, when you and I met, I was okay socially, but it was difficult for me. I built a massive number of friendships because I actually have this phrase, I think it's in the book, but if it's not, it's one of the most important phrases I figured out over life, which is everything in life is easier when you know more good people. Everything.
Oh, that's really good, dude. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
How did I meet my wife? I asked a girl that I knew for introductions. How did I meet that girl? I got introduced to her by another girl. How did I meet the girl who introduced me to the girl who introduced me? Joe Polish. Joe Polish introduced me to a matchmaker. Matchmaker introduced me to a girl. The girl introduced me to my wife.
Are you serious? That is so crazy, man. I love that.
Who I found on Instagram. So my friend, the person who introduced me to my wife, she didn't actually introduce me to my wife. She introduced me to 5 other girls on Instagram. And I went, nope. And then I was like, man, that's really horrible. That's really ungrateful of me. So what should I do? What should I do? I know. I'll go through all the girls that my friend follows. And I scrolled through 30 tiny circles and I stopped on my soon-to-be wife. And I went, this is a girl I need to know. So I picked my wife from a tiny circle on Instagram.
That is so good, dude.
I know. And then she didn't live in the same town. I was in Toronto. My wife was living in Vancouver at the time. So my friend said, I thought you only wanted girls in Toronto. I said, no, I want to meet this girl. And we hit it off really well and moved out here the day before COVID started.
Wow. I just want to give you a lot of credit. I think 2 things. One, for everyone to understand too, is he just laid out a pattern. Craig did. I don't know if you've said this before or was in one of your Perfect Day Formula books. I can't remember, but you had to work really hard at developing the skill set of being extroverted when you needed to be.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's a skill set. Exactly.
Yeah. Like you treated it as a skill set. I got to learn this. And then you became good at it in certain contexts where it was required, but you also you didn't change as a person. you still needed time alone to decompress and do your recharge thing. But then you also must have, you identified, that's pretty amazing, bro. Like you identified, look, I need some help with this finding a woman thing. And that's hard, first of all, for anyone to admit. Second of all, and I think you can insert money, relationships, parenting, any of those contexts in there. And people, it's hard to say, I need help with that. And then you followed a system and developed a skill set. I think it's pretty amazing stuff.
I help entrepreneurs build these 90-day plans. And everything that I did to meet my wife was I built a 90-day plan, shared it at my event that I did in 2019. So we had 300 people at the event, and I walked them through, here's my 90-day plan to meet my wife. And I believe there's a TV show called like 90 Day Fiance, or maybe it's Netflix. Like I actually built a 90-day fiance plan that worked, but it worked in 35 days because I think that was the first time I flew out to Vancouver from Toronto to have our first date. And so met her in 35 days, and it was pretty clear pretty early. And it goes to show you like everything can be boiled down to when you know what you want, then you build the action steps. And so what I do in these 90-day plans is outcome goal. So my outcome goal was 12 dates in 90 days. Didn't matter if it was one date with 12 girls or 12 dates with one girl. I just had to have 12 dates in 90 days. Just like losing 20 pounds or making an extra 100,000 or getting 50 new clients. What's your 90-day outcome goal? Now, we don't control that, but what we control are the action steps that get us there. So we call these the 3 process goals. So mine was to ask these 3 girls, including this Vanessa girl that introduced me to my wife, for introductions. Very easy. And it was going to be super helpful. The second thing was to go to more social events. And I forget what the third action step was. And then we break it down as to what can you do immediately. So if your goal is to get an extra 50 clients and your action steps are run a new Facebook ad series, run an email promotion to my list, and ask 20 joint venture partners for referrals, what can you do immediately right now in the next 10 seconds? You could message probably like 5 referral partners and say, hey, listen, I'm getting new clients. I'll pay you 10% commission. Here's exactly who I'm looking for. Do you have any referrals? Like you could do that in 5 seconds. And the reason why we focus on that immediate action is because if you have a goal and you don't take action on it immediately, the problem becomes greater and the motivation becomes lower every single day. And so if you take immediate action, you get momentum and motivation from the action. You've done something. Like what's the easiest thing you can do right now on this big, crazy goal? Okay, good. Now you'll come back tomorrow, you'll do more and bigger things and so on and so forth. So that's why immediate action is so important. I got the t-shirt on, Success Loves Speed.
Love it.
If you delay anything, like even your morning work, if you delay it till 2:00 in the afternoon, everybody knows how difficult it is to do hard work at 2:00 in the afternoon with all the meetings, emergencies, emails, phone calls, all that stuff. You got to get after it early.
Yeah, that's so good, bro. That is so good. I want to cover one more thing inside the book, and then I want to ask you a question about mentors separately.
Yeah, sure.
So you mentioned identity, and like just we talk about identity. Now, when shift the identity, everything else starts following. It's like the number one big domino, right? And your action process step actually is an identity transformation roadmap as well. But what do you mean by identity when you're talking about like, how are we going to get more results? Like, how would someone watching this, how can they apply? Okay, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm trying to solve a future problem with the thinking of an existing identity. How do I transform that? What's my steps there?
In that case, if I'm trying to solve a marketing problem right now, my identity has to become, I am going to be relentless as possible in asking everybody and investing in whatever help I need to solve this problem. Like if it's a level 10 problem, then your identity simply has to be, I'm the type of person who when they have a level 10 problem, puts a level 10 effort into it. And that's essentially all you need to do. I've used it personally where when I was trying to break free of the introverted desire, I'd go to like Yannick's events and there were 3-day internet marketing seminars, and I'd spend 2.5 days in my room because I didn't want to go down and mingle with 1,000 people. It was too much for me. So I'd be like, and that was when I was really bad. And so I had to get to the point. I just changed my identity. Did you ever meet a guy named Barry Dunlop? He's
Is he an
from
attorney?
What's that?
Was he an attorney?
Oh, he's
Facebook
a
friend,
business owner he's originally Irish, but lives in England. And he was in Yannick's mastermind, and that's how I met him. But he's like the nicest guy. He's a polite and courteous British gentleman. And so I actually just acted like Barry. I'm the type of person. I wanted to be a polite and courteous British gentleman. That's the way that I didn't use the accent, but my daughter has a British accent from watching Peppa Pig. I don't know if your kids were probably too old for this, but it's so crazy. Funny. And anyway, so what I did was at these events, I was like, as soon as I open my hotel room door, there's a smile on my face. I say hello to everyone. It's really uncomfortable, but I had to do it. And when I got in the elevator, I didn't open up my phone like everybody else did. I greeted every single person that came into the elevator. I told jokes. To, like, when we got stuck somewhere. Actually, I remember I was in Santa Monica one time and I was in a packed elevator, and I was going down, and maybe their baby was downstairs with their spouse or something, but they had the stroller and there was no baby in it. And I said, I think you forgot something. It was like, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to talk to people in the elevator. I want to put my head towards the floor, but I talked to somebody in the elevator. And I just did that over and over. And I remember I went to one of Bedros's events, and I told everyone I was going to hug 100 people at the event. There's 700 people at the event, and I hugged 100 people. And a lot of people who knew me, they were like, they didn't know what happened when I hugged them. It was so awkward for some people.
Did you get? Okay, I got to say, because that's a massive pattern interrupt for you.
Yeah.
Where did you even get that idea? Was it just, you just made it up? Like,
I don't know. I just saw like other people, and they're like hugging everybody. I'm like, I physically can hug people, so I'm going to do it. And I want to put this challenge. And so I set it on my social media in advance. And when I went to the event, I just did it. And I've numbered it in my social media. You just do that, and then everything becomes easier the more often you do it. So back to the original question then is, if you are stuck with this problem, if you have this problem, clearly what you are doing is not working. And you just need to switch your identity to, I'm the type of person that will do everything to solve this problem. Now, I'm going to do everything to solve this problem within the parameters of making sure that it doesn't interfere on my family life. So I'm not going to,
whatever your rule set is, correct.
Yeah. You have to have parameters and boundaries for things. But if I work a 10-hour day, I'm going to spend 9 or 10 hours of the day. There might be some admin stuff you have to do, but I'm going to spend all of my time working on this, and I'm not going to go and do things that are procrastination. It's like Mark Ford talks about in Ready, Fire, Aim, which is a great business book. He says that if you haven't hit $1 million in sales, 80% of your time as an entrepreneur should be spent selling. But if you look at 99.9% of entrepreneurs who do not have $1 million business, do they even spend 8% of their time selling? No, they spend 0% of their time selling in most cases, because they're too scared to sell. And that's why they don't really have a business, or at least not $1 million. But that's the same thing. Like, if you were an entrepreneur who didn't have $1 million business, you would say, I'm the type of entrepreneur who spends 80% of their time selling until I hit $1 million. That's my identity as an entrepreneur. And then you have to go out and stick to it. Now, what you need to do is you need to tell a mentor that, and you need to tell a community that, so that you have that accountability. And you need to eliminate all your distractions. If you use 5 social medias, there's probably only one that's getting you leads. So delete all the other ones. Just stop using them. And that way you can only put time into the ones that work, and then figure out the other things that will actually lead to you getting sales.
Yeah, I love that. The most one thing I just want to share, this is helpful for me. This is helpful. I know it's helpful for everyone watching. I think one of the most important elements of something that you haven't added into your system, but it's implied, is that the most powerful 3 words while you make a relentless pursuit to solve your thing is, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm going to go ask this guy. I don't know. That's why I'm going to go ask 5 people if they want to join my thing. Because if 5 say no and they ask me, or they start asking questions, now I got 5. I know the questions that they're asking that allows me to get better at my market. Like, the market will create your marketing. Whereas a lot of people, I've done this a million times, so this is not a judgment statement, but I found like getting stuck in, I just don't know land, like getting stuck there is the worst thing. When versus if you're like, man, I got to go freaking solve this problem and I don't really know how to get there. All the doorways and the mentors and the people start showing up when you start moving. Would you agree with that? Or do you have anything to add to that? I know I only have a few minutes.
I have one thing to add to that is I was coaching somebody the other day and I told them to do something and they said, no one's going to say yes to that. So I'm not going to do it.
Oh, that won't work.
That, I'm too small. No one will say yes. I'm like, you haven't even asked and you've already disqualified yourself from this. That's not how it works in terms of success. Let the market tell you no. Don't let your beliefs tell you no and your imposter syndrome tell you no. Don't say no before you've even started.
Bro, that's so good. In volleyball, when I train kids, when I was learning accelerated learning, like how to teach accelerated learning, like from the thing, there's this thing called Dr. C. It's a framework of teaching, but the first word is experience. No, enroll. How many want this? How many want this? Or we want to do this. Then you put them through an experience and then you label what they just learned versus saying, hey, we're going to learn this. And then you try and get them to go through the experience. And the equivalence is, okay, hey, I'm going to show you how to solve a math problem in 1 minute that normally takes people 25 minutes. The kids who think they suck in math immediately go, oh, that's not going to work. And so they shut their brain down. In volleyball, it's the same thing. Hey, we're going to work on setting, probably a very average example, even though most people suck at that. All the people who think they suck at it, who need to work on it the most, are going to shut their brains down and be like, I'm not really good at this. So I'm not, like, their brain goes into, I'm not good at it. Huh. Rather than, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I give the instructions on the exercise and then we do it. And I know what I'm setting up, but then I point it out to them. They're like, oh my gosh, I just learned, like now they just saw the breakthrough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. That's just the framework. And then we teach, then we break down and we teach them from there. We make them better from there. But now they actually were all in. They didn't know what they were doing. And so
that's what you have to do with so many entrepreneurs because they know what they want. Generally, they want to be successful as an entrepreneur and they generally know what to do. It's not really a lack of information. It's a lack of action. And there's so many reasons. One, people are distracted, but two, it's also the mindset, the disbelief in themselves that they can do it. And one of the most important things, I think, the feedback we get from when we do events from these beginners sometimes is they come in and they meet somebody who has like a $5 million business and we go away and they come up to me and they're like, man, that guy's just like me. That guy's even dumber than me in a lot of cases. And I'm like, yes, I know some really dumb millionaires who were okay at saying, I don't know how to do this. Somebody show me how. I'm stupid. Someone show me how to do this. And oh, okay, now I can go and do it. And then you get over analyzing people. And I'm guilty of this too. Is here, let me tell you why this won't work. So therefore I don't have to do it. But man, that's the worst approach of all.
I'll tell you what, I want to ask you about your mentors, specifically Matt and then Mark, because those
for sure.
people I follow. I watched that. It's interesting. We're testing something out right now that is a low ticket offer. And if you lined up 10 experts on their opinions about like selling a book or selling something to build your tribe, we know that successful people buy books.
Yeah.
We know that busy people who are successful will still part with $10 just purely because if it solves a problem they're looking to solve. But if you look online, there'll be like 10 people be like, oh, low ticket's a waste of your time. You should never sell low ticket. It's okay. But
I've got people who spend $150,000 with me and the only other thing they bought other than $50,000 coaching is a $495 audiobook.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny?
They went through the audiobook 4 times and then went and spent 40 grand or something.
So what I want to share with the audience is like, you can spend 6 months trying to buy 10 courses on selling higher ticket, or you could just decide to launch a product and test it out for $200 online and find out if anyone buys it. And you're going to find that if you solve a real actual problem that they really desperately need. And I heard a great phrase, rich people hate their problems worse than poor people. Yeah, that was Myron Golden said it. He's like, trust me, wealthy people, they're willing to get rid of a problem much faster than somebody who's okay having the problem. So they're going to spend a lot more money. So don't be afraid to solve the problem and charge for it, because they're going to. But how they get to you, you have to have a few different ways of allowing people to get to you.
Yeah, you have to have all the ways that can work. And if something doesn't work, don't do it. But if something could work, at least try it.
Yeah. Okay, Matt Smith, you got 3 minutes. We got 5 minutes left together. So I just want to hit Matt. I know he was on with Doug on a YouTube podcast the other day. I see them pop up on my feed all the time.
Yeah.
I link the two of you guys all the time.
Yeah.
So what was like one or two big lessons you got with Matt or part of that relationship?
Matt introduced me to stoicism. And so that was a huge component, my Perfect Day Formula book. And he really just helped me with emotional regulation, which is a huge problem in beginner entrepreneurs. And I talk about this all the time. We have clients who hit the panic button all the time. Like a team member quits, or we get a refund. And if they sell $1,000 thing and you get $1,000 refund, yeah, it hurts, but you can't hit the panic button all the time.
Right.
And I don't hit the panic button because of stoicism, no matter how bad things get. And so Matt definitely got me on an even keel, and he's a very contrarian thinker, which is awesome. And he also introduced me to a lot of people. So he really got me connected with Mark Ford and some other thinkers that I probably wouldn't have been connected with. So he was just a linchpin, and definitely one of the big brothers that I deeply did not want to disappoint. He was a very important accountability partner to me in my transition years, for sure.
Yeah, I love it. What's next, man? So you got 2 minutes. You want to share with everybody how they could work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. The most important thing is go and get darksideofdiscipline.com. Get the Amazon book, the ebook, the audio book, the hard copy. Let it change your thinking. It's a very short book. You know, I wrote it because most people don't. Most people don't read long books. And so we got all the most important information in the first chapter. Just get through it and change your thinking. And then hit me up on Instagram at Real Craig Ballantyne. You can email me, Craig at Craig Ballantyne. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. We do use those platforms, and I'll reply back to you, and we can show you how to fix those level 10 problems in every area of your life.
Well, hey, brother, I appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, please reach out. Make sure you follow Craig. Please get the book. I'm on there right now. $15. Kindle 99 cents. Hardcover. You got a hardcover. Good job, dude.
Yeah, man. Like it's all carries. Like Amazon's machine. Like apparently the order goes in and it's all fulfilled by Amazon. Like we don't have to ship books there anymore. Amazon takes it from order to printed book in 4 hours. I don't know the machinery of Amazon, but it sounds insane.
This might be I didn't even know that. And I have a book coming out, and I'm doing a lot of modules now. We're rewriting a couple things, and I'm like, just going to have my college daughter help me with it because she's got to learn some stuff.
You got to talk to Carrie, man. It's Carrie Overrunner.
Okay.
I'll introduce you to him. Dude is just helping me blow this book up.
I love it. All right, brother. You're the best. I appreciate you. Thanks, everybody.